Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Monday Morning Art Talk. I'm Steven Silver, character designer and teacher, dedicated to helping you learn about the art industry and living up to your potential. Whippy! Alright, so today we're going to be doing something just a little bit different. My good friend Bo and his partner Meryl, who have a podcast called The Campfire Shit Show. Funny title. But the idea is that when they interview people on their podcast, and I'm going to be posting the links inside the description so you can hear some of their other talks. But the idea is just to talk about not just everything that's maybe going normal, but what are things that have happened in your life that aren't so, normal. So it's a little bit of a change on things, and I like their approach when they do their show. And this was an interview, so Bo and Meryl came up to my house and we did the podcast, set up in here, just recording the interview, so to speak. And so what I wanted to do with you today is just share with you that podcast interview, just so that you guys can hear it. Here's some different perspective of things. You've probably heard things, of course, that I've talked about, but it gets a little bit more deeper in conversation, especially when you start talking to people and there's that banter back and forth. It leads to other types of conversation, which I can't just usually get into when I'm just talking straight to you guys. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast from the Campfire Shit Show. Thanks.
Come on, kids, now gather round. Grab along and sit right down. What's that smell? What's that sound? You're on fire, now hit the ground. It's the Campfire Shit Show. And now, your camp counselors, Bo Hufford and Meryl Climo.
I feel good.
Welcome, Steven.
All right.
You're here.
Wait, we're recording
We're already there. We're in hot.
We're
We're none of this intro bullshit.
No,
we just get right
I
in
like
there with
that.
you.
Bam, here it is.
We'll put all that other stuff in later.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Before we begin, my friend Katie works at Proco, and she says hi.
Oh, yeah.
And
Hi.
she loves you, and she has her art in her office.
Oh, fantastic.
And she said she went to the best art convention that you put on. That's all I have in my notes. Bye. No.
Right, yeah, no, so I never put it on it. So this is, I was involved in just like helping. There's like an advisory board, and through it, it's called Lightbox Expo.
And she also said you were British, and I'm very happy to see that that's still happening.
Yeah, still
She
there.
wasn't lying.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the artwork that my friend Katie has in her office of yours.
Oh, awesome. Nice.
What is it? Let me
it's
see.
the Stranger Things in
nice.
the office.
In the
one.
office. Oh, that's
Yeah.
rad.
I know.
Very cool.
Next
That's
time I
so
visit her,
cool.
I'll kiss it.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
That's really rad. So, let's
Thank
get
you.
into the nitty gritty of what you do. Okay.
Okay.
So you are a character designer,
Yes.
artist extraordinaire. You're a book publisher. Most importantly, I would say that you're a teacher.
Yes.
Which is kind of amazing that you went into the industry of animation and then ended on teaching, because I think a lot of people wouldn't have taken that course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They people in the industry typically like get into it and they're into it forever in the same way,
Yeah.
So can you kind of tell us from the beginnings, like you're from San Diego, right? I mean,
yeah, we originally from England, then to San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you talk about from the beginnings, like what got you even into the industry? Like what were the beginnings of you as an artist?
Well, yeah, the craziest thing that I kind of really resonates with me is when you just somehow at some point discover what your purpose is, what that is. And the story I always tell is when I was 6 years old in England, I was looking out my bedroom window and there was an artist's sketchbook laying in the backyard. I didn't know it at the time. I went and picked it up and had all these portraits and everything. And I don't know how it got there, but it was there. And from that point on, I started drawing. And then as I was drawing in high school, then I started drawing caricatures at theme parks. But I always had a teaching vibe to me. It's almost like I was always naturally trying to help people like figure stuff out as I was trying to learn too. And I was trying to help other people. And it was just this progression. And then eventually someone asked me to teach an actual class of theirs, and I toured it, and I swear that, and I always remember it. I don't remember the year, but I remember being there, and it was like lightning bolts or something. I was driving home that day, and I'm telling my wife, I know I found my purpose tonight.
And was that in London?
No, that was when this was living in LA, working in the studio. So I was living in San Diego doing caricatures at SeaWorld in San Diego. And then I was also working at No Fear doing graphic design, doing their T-shirts for No Fear. And I was doing that. But once I got into animation, then someone asked me to teach. And that's when I realized how much this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
And that's where it's kind of transit. I think it's just like, I believe in reincarnation. So I think, I think that you're just kind of here to fulfill what you were supposed to do. It's a continuation.
Oh, this is so interesting. Okay, wait, I need to go here for a little bit. So do you think we just keep on, like, if you don't learn your lesson, then it's like night-night and you come back again as like a peacock or something? Or
no. I think you stay evolved as a human, but you're always coming and learning new lessons. It's just like your soul, your body is no longer carried through, but the lessons you've learned are carrying through into this new body. Because what makes that person want to get up at 2 a.m. and climb up Mount Everest?
Yeah.
And what makes that artist want to go paint landscapes, but I have no desire? What makes that person, why do we all have our own thing? What makes that person such a great, want to sing, and that person want to play music, or that person love comedy? And why? It's like you don't force it. And so there's a reason. And then it's just like our whole life we're spent trying to get that out. And we're trying to eventually find what that's supposed to be. And I think that's what we're here to do. So you take that with you in the next life.
With that in mind, is there ever a point that you succeed and then that soul just in your mind, like, is there a point where it's like, okay, now you succeeded at this thing. Yeah. You now go on to another thing and you're not reincarnated. Yeah.
So I believe, and again, this is just writings from the Buddha, and Kabbalah, and so many different spirituality. But what I believe is that, you do attain, like the Buddhists believe, just attainment, where you get to that highest level where now you just become a teacher amongst all and many people, where you don't come back anymore. You don't need to. Now you're like a guide. Otherwise, now you start, or maybe those people are the guides and you're angels. That now you've kind of get to that level. And now you're just you've learned your lessons in life.
That's so cool.
I'm really glad we talked about this, because now I just know you're crazy.
No. See, it's so funny. Yeah, this is totally how the difference of like how Bo and I think. So I'm like, even in your eyes, I could see like the light and the illumination and stuff like that. And Bo's just like, I believe in it.
Good for you guys. Good for you guys.
But it's always crazy to me when I see like a rare story about a child that's 6 and he like can name historical events that have happened. Like 40 years ago, or someone is just born like a master piano player. And to me, I'm not sure personally. I have to kind of dive more into reincarnation, but it almost seems like these things are sometimes like, you can't deny that they're like God-given or universe-given things.
However you want to put it.
Totally.
It's just like, it is what it is,
So don't compare yourself to someone else, because they could be on their 21st life and you're on your second.
Absolutely.
But we'll understand in like 4 more lives.
Like
I totally get it. In like 2,900, but we'll be like, oh, I know what they're talking about now.
I got to tell you, I got a great friend. Do you know Kay Asadera?
No.
Is Bobby's wife, Bobby Chu's wife. And I talked to her, and I always said to her, God, you're such a how can you be so naive about stuff, in a fun way? Like, you're a new soul. So I'd always call her the new soul, because she felt like, how can you not see that? How do you not know that, unless joking with her? But how can you not see that? You're a new soul. But then one day we were talking about it. Again, we always mess around, and she came back and saw, but how do you know that I'm not so evolved and so much beyond you that's how I don't react to anything, and this other thing is just like, oh shit.
Well, the most enlightened people, I feel like, are the ones that kind of laugh at it all, and there's this cosmic joke, and you can kind of see it's like the non-attachment almost makes for like humor. So I totally get that. Yeah,
it's funny stuff.
Was there any like like resistance to your success, like from your parents or your peers? Like, 'cause I can imagine growing up and sketching and drawing. I know for me, like growing up, that would be the people that my teacher would be like, stop doing that, or did you have that growing up?
From like my parents were always encouraging me, you know, they just sort of like let me draw. Yeah, teachers looking at my report cards. Horrible. Just I remember I found them recently. My mom had sent them to me, and just all the F's. I mean, I struggled tremendously in school. I couldn't focus, and I have a twin brother, and I was cheated off him to get me through most of the stuff. But on drawing on everything where people go, you know, they just like, you're not going to make, you know, he likes art, but, you know, what are you going to do with that? And, you know, that was the thing that you'd sort of like always get. I think everyone's mind has that. Even my parents think they were concerned, but I had
Isn't that weird to kind of like be growing up? I know that it's hard to describe to people, but when you're going through life with people already saying like, well, good luck, like kind of like rolling their eyes that you want to be an artist.
Yeah.
I hope you're okay with being starving.
Right.
It's like, well, gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like nobody says that about so many other professions.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I can't even think of another one where like nobody aspires to be, I hate to say this, nobody aspires to be a janitor.
Right.
Okay. But like, there's nothing wrong with being a janitor.
Yeah.
We need janitors.
Yeah.
But like when a little kid is like sweeping up and like, I really like cleaning shit. Nobody's like, well, good luck. You're going to be broke.
Yeah. Right.
But with artists, it's like, man, there's this setup of like starving artists. Can you do this for a living and that kind of stuff? So I always love seeing stories like yours where I think that in the beginning, like you were like, I want to talk a little bit about like, how did you get the job at No Fear? Because that seems like the first job where you became a legitimate like paid designer, right? Yeah. How did you get a job at No Fear?
So I was doing caricatures in San Diego, and then doing private parties. I would set up at shopping malls. So I would set up at the shopping mall. I can't remember even the names of them anymore.
Sure.
Like,
they've all changed.
Yeah, they've all changed.
Mission Valley or
Mission
whatever.
Valley, you know. Anyway, so I was setting up there, and at lunchtime, I set up there during November, December for the Christmas season, because I knew everyone wanted a new gift, like trying to think of the new things. So one afternoon, the art department, they would come through for their lunch break to the shopping mall, and this was near Carlsbad, and then they said, hey, what are you doing after the holidays? And I said, yeah, I don't know. They said, we work at No Fear. You should stop by. And I went and showed them my stuff. And then they needed at the time someone who was more hands-on drawing, because they were all doing computer stuff. So I didn't even know how to do Photoshop or anything like that. And so they hired me to do that. And that's how I got my job there. And then it was about a year later that when I ended up going to animation.
That's crazy. So you're drawing caricatures. You get a job at No Fear as a designer. A year later, you're packing your shit up and driving to LA. For what job? What job were you going to in animation for?
So then at Warner Brothers, I met this guy who was a storyboard artist on a show called Freakazoid. And I always believe it's so important to be a part of a group or just a club or something, because you get to meet people, especially now. You know, we were talking about it earlier, where you don't become so dependent on your phone. Like, that's your only social connection. So if you don't get likes and stuff, you're all depressed. It's like you actually meet people. And that's where I met this guy who was this artist. It took me about a year to contact him, just get the nerve up to say, hey, I want to learn more about animation. And he said, hey, you know, you had some pretty good stuff. Why don't you come up to LA and let's see your portfolio? And so I whipped together a portfolio. I showed it to him and said, hey, you know what? I think they just fired a character designer upstairs on this show called Hysteria, and they're looking for a new character designer.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for the past you.
I think that's so insane, because that doesn't seem like it could even possibly happen now.
Right. No, not
There's
at all.
No way that they could be like, hey, kid off the street, we think we've got this great job that everyone's looking for. You'll be perfect.
Right. No, and so they took me up there, and then the director wasn't there, and I dropped off my portfolio, and they said the director will look through it and they'll get a call back. And then I got a call back like the next day and said, hey, can you come back and take a test? So they had to put together a test for me just to try to design in the same sort of style that the show was going on.
It's like, can you draw like this?
Can you draw like this?
Can you do this job?
And so I did it, and I drove up there. I met with the director, and then I just went back and just started like drawing like a machine, just giving them all these ideas. And then they submitted it. And then I got a call about another week later and said, hey, we like your test. You want to come work on the show? And that's
oh my god,
kind of just how it sort of happened.
Giddy.
So that was Freakazoid?
No, that was Hysteria.
That was Hysteria.
Hysteria, and that's what. And then I had to move from San Diego up to L.A.
Did you think at that moment like, well, this is it? I made it. I made it.
Yeah, no, I remember I was at Fishwick's house, and I was standing there with Fishwick when I got the phone call. I don't even know how I got the phone call. It was before cell phones and all that. So this was 1997.
The Western Union guy
showed
up.
Yeah, I think maybe I got my pager or something, little beeping or something. But they said, hey, we'd like to offer you the job. I'm just like, oh my God, this is cool. And then just asking some questions. I'm like, okay, all right, thanks. And she goes, whoa, don't you know how much you're going to make? And I said, oh, yeah, sorry, but at that, it didn't matter to me. I'm just like, whoa, I'm gonna freaking work at Warner Brothers.
What year was this?
In 1997.
Okay, so in 97, going in as a new dude at Warner Brothers as a character designer.
Yeah.
What was the pay like? Can I ask you that?
Yeah. So I was paid at that time, which was pretty high for what I was getting, was $1,300 a week.
Okay.
Yeah. So for those type of projects, because I just don't know that world at all, do they pay you usually by week or by
You're usually getting paid by
week?
Or, yeah. You're usually always working out like a weekly rate, or otherwise you do a daily rate. But in animation, it's usually going off a weekly rate.
And do you sign some type of contract, like I'm with you for a year?
No, that's the crazy. No, like in feature, when you're doing feature films, there'll be more of a contract. But when we've done TV, there's no contracts. They don't want to give contracts anymore. So the reality is, the artist has a lot more power than they think they do. Because the reality is, why you don't have to be tied to that studio. If you're feeling like you want, they can get rid of you when they're done with you. But if you go, hey, I'm leaving or doing something and creating some sort of fringe, then it becomes a problem. Not all the time, but now, it's like, but we got to finish this. We need to get this done. You guys have this deadline. And if you would go, no, I'm not doing that deadline. I'm not working overtime. Then they can come and make you feel bad, otherwise guilt you into you're going to get fired, and just you don't want to be blacklisted. But the reality is you have the right. You don't even have a contract with most of these studios.
Well, and something to remind our listeners too is that a lot of times animators, character designers, things like that, they work on a project, especially something like, a TV show, and as soon as that project's done, that season's done, they cut everybody or most people.
So you're starting from scratch again,
right? So a lot of people are jumping from
ship to ship,
studio to studio every 6-8 months because that project's done. You finished it. Now there's no project. They're waiting to see if they're going to get greenlit for another season or a different show, and of course they're watching to say like, oh, Steven Silver is a great artist. Let's keep him around. Let's push him over on this. But a lot of people have to go to another studio, and they're constantly working on their resume and doing that kind of thing.
Otherwise, they're waiting to see if there's going to be a pickup, and they don't tell them. So then everyone's worried about whether they're going to get jobs, and they start looking. So the reality is, you're getting paid, but again, you're not. It's not longevity. You're not going to be there a long time, and also they own everything, right? So everything that you do, if you create some amazing design, they can take it and license it and do everything, and yet you are the designer, yet you receive nothing. Unless it was your own show that you pitched and that you went through that whole thing. But otherwise, this is the problem. There's no ownership. There's no, that's what's kind of lame.
So you're at Warner Brothers for how long in that time?
So I was there, I think, for about 97 till about 99. So 2 years.
So when you first started, is there a feeling there, or was there a feeling there of like welcoming, or it's kind of like, who are you now?
Yeah, no, it was welcoming, but there was also people were kind of like weirded out because I never went to art school or anything, and I never came, from the industry job. Even the producer on the show said how lucky I was. It's very rare that anyone who's not already worked or gone to school or something has broken through with nothing, and it's just
that's why I'm so kind of in awe that you got hired on that show with really no experience.
Well,
it's because you're charming.
But do you want? Well, listen. Do you want to hear the crazy fact? The whole sort of,
Yes.
This is the whole This is the whole sort. This is the whole sort of. In all honesty, the reincarnation, all this other stuff is. I truly believe, again, it's a belief system, that I truly believe that these things have happened to me with effort, but with ease, because I'm being led. I'm constantly following my intuition and my guides that are telling me to keep doing this. So I'm not I know exactly this is the path I'm supposed to take. The reason I got onto that show is so that I could do this show to get to that show and make an effect and create this. So now people are aware of who I am and what I do, which gives me the opportunity to spread the teaching that I spread for, which was my ultimate purpose, because having Kim Possible, having Danny Phantom, having Clerks, having those shows are a brand that I was associated to where now this is how people react in this world. It's just like, who are you? What have you done?
We just talked about this for hours.
You know, what have you done? Who are you? How can I relate? And that's why people get so caught up in, you know, like when they look at a movie star, go, oh my, Tom Cruise, oh my God, you know, I know this guy.
He's relevant and worthy.
And all anyone's looking for, and it's like, Oprah said it, but Buddhists have said, everyone said it. It's just everyone just wants to be seen and everyone wants to be heard. Yeah. And I was just watching, I love watching like American Idol and The Voice and all that. And you hear these people, their stories, and constantly told they could be no one or nothing. And just this belief system gets in their head. And I think, so this is where coming back to what I was sort of like saying, I feel like I've gotten into these places of transition from finding the sketchbook to getting the job the way I got the job to doing this has all led to these moments, which is, you know, again, there's been, I know this is the shit show and I've had a lot of shit.
we'll talk about all that.
Yeah, we're talking, but I just kind of want to say, like, I don't ever look at failure or something bad as anything bad, and that's another quality that I have, that it's for a purpose. That it was not, doesn't have to be this flat tire isn't that flat tire because it's a flat tire and gods are out to get me. It's just like, I got a flat tire, that sucks. What am I going to do to change the situation?
I think I have the same belief system in that.
I do too. And maybe like the car service attendant that you're going to meet is the one that gives you the big break. And I totally believe in all that. And I always believe like how people handle change has such a big deal and like what's coming up for them. And I think too how you were saying where all these things led for you to basically serve other people. I think like when you do things with the intention of serving others, it like lightning speeds you around, whether just doing it for like ego of like, I'm someone because I work on Kim Possible, you know. Like,
and it's a big thing. And I remember reading the book on the Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama, and the whole thing about it all is very simple. All it is just when you give back, if you're helping other people with intention and not, again, just to serve yourself, but you just naturally are helping people, that's the happiness. That's where the art of happiness stems from. And by doing that, and I've felt when I'm doing those things, again, I do my podcast, I do my stuff, I do my teaching, and I just know that I'm just doing it because that's what I'm supposed to do. And that's what gives me the happiness. But that's also what I think gives everything back.
Do you I mean, okay, so you were in Warner Brothers for a couple of years, then you skipped around to other studios, at which time you made Danny Phantom, Clerks, Kim Possible. You created the look of all of these shows, which is a lot of work. And you're working with a lot of different people. Did you feel like a minority with this thought process that you have about being positive and helping others? Or had you not even really had that lightning bolt hit you with this?
Yeah, I don't think it didn't hit me, you know, yet. I was just there, you know, you're just there doing it, and you're still in the trenches with everyone else because everyone else is trying to figure it out and everything too, and you don't know what it's going to turn into or become.
I've heard people say this, and maybe you feel away, but there's only two types of people in the animation industry. It's people trying to get in and people trying to get out.
Really?
So people are dying to get into this industry of animation, but then when you get there, you realize what it truly is. And then you're just trying to get out.
I feel like I go insane, like drawing the same thing over and over and over.
Well, you're not. I mean, you never are. I mean, if you're actually animating, then you're not even drawing the same thing. I mean, it feels like you are. You got to draw 24 pictures for every 1 second. Of every 1 second that people watch on film is 24 frames. So 24 drawings. Yeah, that would drive you nuts, but the majority of jobs, that's not even done even in the US anymore.
It's all sent to China.
It's all sent to China, Korea, the Philippines, and all these other places, to where, you know, what we're doing is the storyboards, the character designs, the prop designs, the background. So you're drawing a lot of different things all the time. It's just that you're working for someone else and you still have the deadlines. And that's why a lot of people are like, you know what? and you're creating other people's franchises, and you're there and you're like, I'm just doing all this, and they are beholden to my time. They're beholden to my days. And I just like, I just want to work on my own creative stuff.
Yeah.
So people don't even have time. That's the big thing. They always say, I come home, I don't even have time. I don't have time in the morning to draw. I don't have time when I come home at night. And this is a big complaint.
This thing that you used to love to do, now you get into a job doing it, and now you can't do it for yourself. It is a real give and take, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what even is a character designer for someone like me that doesn't know? I mean, I could piece together the words, but like, who hires you? What exactly is the process of that?
Yeah, basically, you're just going to be working from a script. So let's just say Scooby-Doo. All of a sudden, there's a script, Scooby-Doo, and we got to design this dog and this character Shaggy and this character Fred and Velma and all that. So now the artist is going to read through the script, understand the characters, and it's their job to design the visual look of what that character looks like.
So that's like from the very, very
beginning.
That's the very
beginning. That's the very beginning. That's like the thing. It hasn't even been put on paper yet. You're the visionary. You're the one who's creating the look of the shapes of the characters, the style of the characters.
And will they say like Scooby-Doo is like, do they ever give any descriptions of them, or?
Yeah, you'll get character descriptions.
Okay.
So that's written in the script. Otherwise, they might even just have character descriptions, and they'll go
like large dog that's brown.
Yeah, or the
like
Frankenstein. He's 7 foot tall and his green has got bolts coming out of his neck, and he's just been woken up from some. So then you got to put your own. You're not going to get all the descriptive stuff, right? There's just going to be a vague thing, like this person's it could be like there's a steampunk crocodile who's very aggressive. That's all you get.
And is that the show creator that comes up with that, or
the show creator? They get writers, usually the show creator. They'll put together what's called a pitch Bible. It happens in TV and films. It's all this Bible, this pitch where you're just showing the characters, the world. And like a book author, that's what you are. You're an author of a book. Like tell the Harry Potter, right? So like I would get from her, I didn't get anything from her. But if I got from her, who created Harry Potter, and she goes, okay, it's this young kid, he's 10 years old, his name's Harry, he's an orphan, lives with his blah, 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 goes to this school, then it's the character designer's job to, maybe he has glasses, and you do all tons of designs, and maybe they're round glasses, maybe they're long glasses, maybe he's got this sort of haircut, that sort of haircut. So that's what the character.
It's really interesting too in the case of Kim Possible, because so you would come up with a character, how she looks, but then also there's these side characters that have become sort of famous as in their own right, like the mole rat, and so you came up with the entire look of what that would be.
Wow,
you probably just get a descriptor that says mole rat,
exactly. That's
and then you go, okay, this is the shape it will be,
and
now that's on backpacks and
I was
toys,
just gonna say,
everything.
and then when it's like merchandise, you're the one that does that. That's a huge job.
Well, see, that's part of why when you're doing that and working for these other companies, when the character designer's not getting a residual, you can work those deals out maybe with smaller studios, with licensing partners and agreements. You can do that outside of these animation studios, but it's kind of sad that the animation studios don't give you that, but maybe no one's really ever asked for it, or maybe they haven't get rejected. But the problem that I hear sometimes, you get everyone else going, well, I did the prop design, and what if the guy who drew the Batmobile, right? That's a big deal. Who designed the Batmobile? But then you get the regular stuff where it's just regular props or backgrounds, and then it starts to go, well, who's getting what? Why should you? Why should you? But the reality is, come on, what's put on merchandise. They're not putting backgrounds or props or storyboards on things.
Usually props aren't huge characters in those series,
unless they are a prop for a character.
I just had a thought about one thing that you need to think about too is that every single person or character in a show has been designed by someone like you. That means that every episode, every person in the background, every person that walks around in any scene at all has been designed. So let's say Kim Possible. Can you even imagine how many characters you designed for that show in the time that you were there?
Oh, jeez.
Like a rough idea.
Oh my God. just because you got all the school kids,
right?
Wow.
You got all the cheerleaders, you got all the teachers, you're creating the whole universe.
And they're not all
I do remember when I was on Clerks, the animated series, because my production coordinator at the time is now a producer, would always be so amazed and always say, he'd always tell people for me how many I designed. There were just 6 episodes, but in each episode, there were about 120 characters per episode.
Yeah.
And I only had about 3 weeks to do it.
So you'd have to design 120 characters each episode.
Yeah.
How many different faces? How could you? That's amazing.
Well,
And
yeah.
they can't look exactly the same.
No,
Of
and they
course,
can't
can be
look the same.
robotic,
Yeah,
it's not
because
some-
again, you got the people in the crowds, the people sitting in the coffee shops. But yeah, with Kim Possible, Danny Phantom, those shows were just monsters. And then you get crowd scenes, where there's all these people in one shot, and you're just like, oh my god. But then you're drawing not just the characters, you're drawing what's called special poses, where all of a sudden, say like, or costume changes. Now, say Kim Possible's in space gear. I got to draw what she looks like in space gear. Maybe she's in snow gear. Then I got to draw her. Maybe she's tied up and hanging upside down in danger. You got to draw the rope around and maybe show what or a certain expression.
Yeah.
Maybe what their tongue looks like when they stick their tongue out. So you got. I mean, these are all the special poses you get from the storyboards a lot of the time, where,
oh my gosh,
it's
I
like
have so many
person's
questions.
got goop on them.
Yeah. So then, how many character designers usually are there per show?
Anywhere just from 1 to 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is it a collaborative process where like do you bring for Kim Possible, did you show them like one version of her or 200 versions of her?
No,
like...
yeah, you're getting the script and then you're just drawing machine, and I kept going back and forth with my director. We're going back and forth, he's giving suggestions, we're drawing, you're going, and then you keep going back up, and then you got to show it to the higher ups, and then it goes to the writers, and everyone's like, yeah, we feel like it's going in the right direction.
So you have to be so good at taking
you got to know that things are going to change. You can't fall in love with anything. All of a sudden you're going to do the design and go, you know what, it's completely wrong. Otherwise the hair, don't make the hair too long, change the hair, so
and especially for animation, you're thinking about simplicity, because you can't put a bunch of details in certain things. It's like every person has to draw that for the rest of the time now.
Yeah.
Could you really fight for it if you talk about like intuition, if you're like, no, I promise that this will work out better, or does a character designer not really have?
Yeah, you can. It depends who your director is.
Yeah.
Like you can have that conversation. Some are just their egos are too big, and you don't even bother. It's like, what's going to happen.
I want to just so you think about this. He said 1 to 2 character designers per show, right? There's only so many shows happening, and then shows are ending after 6 or 8 months.
Right.
So then those 2 people or 1 person goes on to probably another show.
Yep.
So think about how few opportunities there are for new character designers, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody's been doing it for 10 years,
Right.
has probably worked on 8 to 10 shows.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you walked in off the street.
Right,
I think
right,
that's so
right.
fucking crazy.
That's because you're
I think
you.
that's crazy.
Please.
Right.
And then do you think like would you put your own, like if you're on a walk somewhere and you're like, I think of this character, then do you kind of like put in your characters?
Oh yeah, all the
so-
time. Like I put a lot of friends in the shows, or my family. Like
That's
people.
funny. I never saw you put me in.
Yeah,
anything.
no,
That's
no,
weird.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
You were the tongue that Kim Possible was like.
You fucking yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You were wearing the helmet.
I was the space person with the helmet on.
Yeah.
Question for you: in that system of animation industry, was there a time that you were like, I fucking hate this project? Like I really hate this. You just wanted to get out.
For sure. I mean, there were different projects, but one I remember I was working on the Cleveland show doing
You were?
character
Oh my
design
God,
at
that's such a
Fox
big deal.
Yeah, at Fox Animation, and I knew it was going to be temporary because there were 3 character designers on that show, and just one of them, she got pregnant, so she was on maternity leave. So I knew I was just going to be there for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And usually I was used to working at home already, and I kind of like said, okay, I'll do it. And that's like an hour and a half drive from here, from where I live. So I was dealing with the traffic. So long days I was going there, but it just fucking sucked. I mean, it was just like, there was just, I didn't like, everyone was in their cube. Everyone had their headphones on. They were so like strict there about when you were coming, when you were going, you know, and everything was through IM chat, which I hated.
Yeah, it gives me a
like there
headache.
was no interaction. I felt like it was just missing. It was all just gray cubicles. People were sleeping there on the weekends.
Really?
There was just like, I was just like, this job fucking sucks. And the person I was working with, one of the directors was a real jerk, you know, just he's like a pissing match or something. I don't know what he was trying to prove, but it's just like he knew who I was and what I've drawn and just different things. And it's not that he's all, you know, you don't need to draw like you on these shows and just like these other things. It's just like, it's done this way, you know, just so like, you know, you just need it's just like, why do you even need to say that? Why even say that? Why don't you just say, hey, you know, on this style, on this show, this is what we're really thinking about. But it's just like, he was trying, I don't know.
He's like, don't inject yourself into this.
What an a-hole, you know, and just like dealing with this guy. And then, they were watching me when I was leaving, you know. Hey, we've noticed that you've been leaving early, you know. I say, well,
and you're a grown man.
I'm a grown man. For Christ's sake. You know, I'm leaving early. What are you, my parent? And there's no contract. You know, this is what I'm saying. I'll do my work when I do my work. As long as you got your work done, which I always made sure they got their work done. That's all you got to do. As long as you get your work done, don't breathe down my back. And again, there's no contract. And so they said, I noticed you're leaving early. I said, yeah, because I got to get home and I want to have dinner with my wife and kids, you know. I want to get home.
I got the work done.
I got the work done, but it's just like, you know, under the contract, you know, just like a union, you know, sort of thing. It's just like, you got to work this many hours and stuff.
Ridiculous.
I'm just like, this is BS. So then they forced, I had to come in on the weekend, you know, make up my time.
On
and
the
just
Cleveland show?
Yeah.
And then and in the end, it's the Cleveland show.
It's the Cleveland show.
But that is,
you're not even proud to even share it.
Just people, just the energy. Every day I walked in there, the energy was just off. When I worked at Nickelodeon, everything was bright and colorful and purple and green and orange. And it was fun, you know. Disney was cool. Little gray in Disney where I was at the main building, but it was still fun. People will have their toys out and everything. At this studio, it was like no one even wanted to do up their cubicle because they like everyone felt like they were in a prison cell.
Yeah, it felt like a Montessori school when we went to Nickelodeon, like because it was 11 a.m. or something, and we saw someone just sitting outside working, but like drinking a latte on, and that's how like I do my best work that way too. When you're kind of given a long leash, and then I feel like employees stay more loyal. And
absolutely. I don't know why people just don't figure this out across all industries. Just don't breathe down. Let them produce. Give them the opportunity to do things for their own lives that they need to do. If they need to leave and take someone somewhere or pick someone, do something, especially moms and stuff, you know, I mean, people would just, that'd be so much better.
Well, life isn't working. I mean, I feel like we need to remember that. Yes, we all need to work. Everyone out there needs to work. But like at the end of the day, I mean, this could be your 7th or 8th life. I mean, you have to think about that, right?
That's right. That's
not
right.
in this lifetime. I'm not working.
The quality of life is such an important thing. Right.
Yeah.
And it's a belief system that some people believe that they need to do this because otherwise they'll get fired, and that's scary.
Right.
And, you know, but it's also, it's like some people may call it entitlement. I call it a strong belief.
Yeah. What's like, what is that? You know, like I think it's very European thing, but that's saying like making a life, you know, you choose to make a life, not a living.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like I'm making a life for myself. I don't have to be so focused on just what that living is going to be, you know.
So after you've been in the industry for a while, you start making a change to kind of promote yourself.
Right.
And you started working on a book.
Yeah.
What was the first book you made? Because now you've got a whole series of different books, and sketchbooks and things. What was that hump for you to get over to be like, I'm going to make a book of my work?
I think it was, there wasn't a hump other than just the desire. Like I'd go to a comic show and I saw people are just selling their own comics, right? And they're doing at the time like little ash cans where they're just selling their sketches. And at that point I saw other people selling their sketches. I'm like, well, I'm going to put together my sketches. And so I made it as a little comic book. And that was my very first one. It was just a thin book. And I remember it was just, you know, it's very thin. Usually you wouldn't do that. It made it look like a comic book form. I'll show it to you. I don't know if you remember it. And I just called it My Sketchbook. And I remember I went to this comic book store in Burbank and I said, hey, I have this book of my sketchbook and it was a comic book. Would you like to sell it and put it on your bookshelf?
Yeah.
And he flipped through it and it's all, oh man, there's some really cool stuff. It's also, how much do you, and I had a price tag on it for $10. Now, comics, little thin comics sell for $2, $3.
Yeah.
Right.
Here, I have the exact same quality, the exact same size, the exact same everything, and it wrote $10 and goes, $10, man, that's a little stiff. Is also, if you want me to buy it from you at like 50% off, right, I got to give you $5. I said, yeah, so $5 a sketchbook because you got to work out, sell it wholesale, right?
Sure.
So, so now he's gonna sell it for like $10.
Oh my gosh, I love
and
this.
He's buying it for me for $5. So he goes, you know, I can't even remember how many he took. Maybe he took like 10, or something, or 5 or something like that. But then the next day, I got a phone call from him. It was, oh, hey, dude, I sold out of all your sketchbooks.
Really?
Bring them back. But I need more. And then he bought like 20 or he bought, and then I started selling them at a bunch of different, I started going door to door. I was like going to all the different places and just selling. That's the thing which people don't do now. Where we're so dependent on people noticing us on social media that you forget to actually go interact with people and show up. And so I would go door to door, meet with these people, have them do that. And then that led to me going, you know, I'm going to make my own first book, which was this big $40 hardcover book where I was going. So then I said, okay, I got to step it up. I want to do something even more different. So then I take all my drawings, all my artwork. I'm going to a few different book publishers because I didn't want to spend the money or anything. And I didn't know how to do it. I'm just, would you publish this? And they didn't want to publish my book. They didn't know who I was or anything, you know, like whatever. There's not enough girls. We need more naked girls.
Really?
Like, I don't draw naked girls. I'm drawing old men. I don't know why. You know? And so, you know, I'm like showing them all this stuff. And then I realized, okay, I'm just going to figure out how to do this myself. So then I went and bought like 4 books on how to self-publish. And then I contacted a guy that I had met who worked in China, who is book printer. Again, all this stuff happens.
Wow.
You meet this guy and then you use these connections.
Yeah.
Like I remember I met a guy who was a book publisher out of China. And so then I get in contact with this guy, make my own book. And then I decided it was a big investment. You know, I think I had to, geez, I got like 3,000 books or something. It was crazy. You know, you had to buy a bulk and I'm getting this book and that was really scary. But again, believe in yourself. I knew if I sold them for $40, it cost me like $7 a book. So I had to invest like $10,000, $12,000, which was steep. We were like, oh shit, you know, this is crazy. What if we don't sell any? What if I don't sell any? And I knew that if I go to Comic-Con, I'm going to set up a booth at San Diego Comic-Con. And if I can sell, all I need to do is sell, I need to sell like 300 books at $40 to make my money back. So it must have been like 12 grand. And I'm like, if I just sell, you know, that many books. And then I went to Comic-Con that first year and sold nearly 300.
Wow, because you're there talking
books,
to the people.
because no one, and I was there and no one else was doing it. No one else, no other artist was self-publishing their own art book like that at the time when I first did it. And that's why it was so new. People like, what the fuck is this? Who published this for you? So I did it by myself. And then this whole trend sort of
I can just see you stroking your own cock through this.
Oh my God, that
whole experience. I mean that in the nicest way, but like when someone's
a good time to do
when
it.
you kind of feel like you are the first person to do it. Because let me tell you, I go to Comic-Con and I see all the books that have literally just copied your format.
Really?
So many other artists. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Same size.
Yeah.
Same like everything.
Really?
It's almost like they're like, who published this? I'll do it that exact way.
Oh my gosh.
But you were kind of paving the way at that time.
Yeah.
And sort of, again, you're such a rebel in this way. You just take it into your own hands.
I think a lot of this stuff, my mindset, and I do it all the time, is I go into everything with like naivety. I just go in like, I don't know what will happen. I'm not, it's like that saying, better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And that's what it is. I just will try stuff and see. Again, as long as I'm not doing something that's going to risk my family, risk myself, and do something crazy. But it's just like, yeah, this is a gamble. This is a risk. And that's why a lot of things don't work out. Like I tried to start a T-shirt company. I tried to start a plush toy company. There's so many things that I've tried. But then I also realized that if things aren't happening, to a certain point, you're just not supposed to do it. And we keep trying, wanting to make certain things work.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why they don't work. And sometimes you got to go, I'm not supposed to do that anyway. That's why I'm never succeeding at it, because that's not what my purpose is. That's not what I'm supposed to do. So it becomes a sure sign that you got to switch. Okay, you know?
So I have a question. So how do we know the difference between like that of like you're hitting a dead end road versus like 3 more miles and you're on, you know, America's Got Talent or whatever?
Yeah.
Like for your students and stuff, like how do you think, besides tapping into your own intuition, like how do people know if they're barking up the wrong tree and like kind of hitting that?
Well, I think one thing is that you don't just do it for a limited amount of time. You can't just do it for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It's like you're invested in it. I think you got to just, do you believe that you've truly done everything in your ability to that point to like truly do it? You know, like you're not just half-assing it. Like you could say, yeah, man, I was trying to start my own, you know, online podcast, but I only post, you know, podcasts like once a month. I said, no, that's not really doing it, you know? It's just like, have you invested in any equipment? You know, no, but, you know, maybe once my podcast picks up, you know, so it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it becomes all these sort of things. And I think you try, have you given it the real college try? Like, you know what? I've done everything that I feel at this moment I can do. And then I think you just got to trust and just go, you know, it's just not feeling the same anymore. It's just not feeling, I'm not getting the same sort of energy. Okay, I'm going to let go of that. I'm going to set that boat off to sail and find its own sort of, you know, journey. But I think you have to do multiple things. That's number one. I don't think you can ever just be doing one thing. I think you should have your hand in multiple campfires.
Is that why?
Nice campfire shit show reference.
Is that why you're in an open relationship, Stephen?
I'm
just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's not.
Whoa! No.
You should always have your hands in lots of different pies.
So, like my creative kind of chicken and the egg thing is: do you advise people when they're trying to give their all to something? Do you tell kind of young creative people to like you know, not work a day job or try to save money and live with your parents and that kind of stuff? Or do you think people should work full-time jobs if they have to and then spend every moment like outside? Because that's always the conundrum. That's like, you know, even just personally, like I have a lot of stuff that takes me away from our podcast, but then it's always this feeling of like, okay, but if I was to quit all of that, then you have no money and then you're working on your creativity.
Well, this is where you got to be, you know, real. But I also think that what it is just, it comes to like, you should never jump off of a ship if it's in distress, if there's no lifeboat or anything else, right? And I think you're on this sort of sail by, I think it was like Norman Peale or something who told the story about just with a ship, using the ship metaphor. And I like the ship metaphor, but I sort of like really think about that's what it is. It's like you got to have something else there before you quit. Don't quit too soon. Don't quit at the right time, because eventually that hobby and stuff will start to take over as long as you're putting effort. But don't just jump ship with nothing to fall onto. And that's why I think you should just have at least 2 or 3 projects going on, at least something, just even for your own sanity. Just to constantly, I'm going to work on this, but then I can work on this, so that nothing becomes repetitive, nothing just becomes boring and the same. I think that's where people go wrong. They're trying to put all their eggs in one basket, thinking that, okay, I got to do, this is going to be my thing. And it's like, you know what? There is no one thing. Nothing's a life sentence. There's no one thing that you will ever do the rest of your life. And you don't want to, you know, everything evolves, everything grows. And I think that's with us too. It's just like, you got to just be willing to say, I'm working my day job, but I am going to put every real effort into doing that to make it work. And I just got to throw this in there because it made me think about it when I was watching what's his name, from John Bon Jovi getting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame award. And he said, like, when he was young, his guitar teacher had said to him, he was around 18, he said, John, are you in this for play or are you in this for keeps? Because if you're in it for play, you know, the bottom line is play on the weekends. Just play at the beach for your girlfriends. Do that, whatever it's going to be. But if you're in it for keeps, you know what you got to do. And that's what I got out of when he was talking about his story. What I took is that's the reality, is like, are you in it for play or in it for keeps? And a lot of times people are just, it comes to this story of it just doesn't hurt bad enough. And that's always the bottom line of what stops you from moving forward, because you're just like, I want to do that, but I'm kind of comfortable.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. It requires a type of madness that I think only a few people, or not a few, but most people don't have internally, or they shut it down. Like I work a lot on like Friday nights or Saturday nights, and when other people are out and stuff, I'm happy, but I'm like creating freedom also takes so much sacrifice and kind of discipline, you know.
Well, I also think, I mean, I talk about this a lot with people in my life. It's like, if you really want it, you're gonna get it. Yeah. You're gonna get something. Yeah. It's gonna lead you to somewhere. Something. But if you don't have it, it's because you didn't want it bad enough. Right. That's just the way it is. And you've just got to work harder. And you can give yourself as many excuses as possible to be like, I'll get there, I'll once I get this equipment, or once I get that, then I'll start working on it, My mom gave me, I don't think I ever told the story, maybe I did, but my mom gave me this great advice, okay?
Call your mother.
No, it was like when I was a kid, I wanted a weight bench. Did I talk about this?
Yeah, or to me personally, I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. If you heard it before, sorry guys, but I wanted a weight bench. But of course, I wanted the most expensive weight bench, and I wanted to get in shape. Right. But like, of course, I wanted like the Gold's Gym, 700 little attachments and stuff. And my mom, we didn't have a lot of money. My mom's like, no, you're not getting that. And I kept bugging her over weeks and months of like going to this area, like it was like MC Sporting Goods or something. I'd see, I'm like, come on, Mom, I gotta get this weight bench. And finally, my mom, because in my head, I was like, once I get that, I can get in shape. Right. I can do this. I'll be whatever. Right. My mom was like, listen, do you really want to get in shape? And I was like, yes, of course I do, Mom. And she's like, well, if you really want to get in shape, then you'd be in the garage with a broomstick and 2 sandbags tied to it. And you'd be lifting until that wears out. And then we would be getting you that weight bench, And it was such a good point. I was like, if you really want to do it, man, stop talking about it. Yeah. Just start working on it every day, a little bit. Yeah. Every moment you get. Yeah. People go back to law school. Yeah. People go back to, they're in the military and they're doing something at nighttime to focus on learning. Like we all have the ability to like, I know that you get tired. We're all getting tired. Right. But like, I've been put on this new thing this year where it's like, I'm trying to learn every new thing I can. I started that. We talked about a little bit about masterclass. Right. I started doing that masterclass because it's like, well, instead of filling my time with a TV show or video games or something else, I'm going to try to fill my brain with some information that I didn't have. Right. It's really easy to not do that. Yeah. It's easy to watch the show where even American Idol, you mentioned that earlier, it's easy to watch it and be like, wow, someone's chasing their dream. Right. But it's like, wait a minute, I should be chasing my dreams. Right. Right. Yeah. I don't need to be watching somebody else singing. I need to be fucking watching a masterclass.
Right. And I'm sure that in artist world, that's like, you could probably say, I don't have these nice pens. I don't have an office like Steven Silver does, So I feel like, it's probably just starting with what you have.
Well, and everybody looks at what someone else is doing. Like, I'm sure people ask you all the time, what kind of pen do you use? Right. What kind of computer do you use? What program are you on? But it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No. What are some things that you've done that you really feel like tap into your own creativity? Like, 'cause I know you work a lot with artists and their lifestyle. Right. Like, what works for you personally, and what do you kind of advise to people that are trying to get even more creative?
Just I think just don't work so much, just in general, and just have sketch pads. Just always be thinking. Write journals. Write things down. Whenever you have that idea, just jot it down, because it may just be that little moment, and I think that's something that I do. I have a lot of pads everywhere, and I'm writing things down, and I think just I think it's relaxing. No, I sit a lot.
American Idol, 30 minutes of American Idol a day.
Yeah, no, it's like I sit, but I just like sit and I'll just like sort of stare. I'm not really thinking about a meditation that I'm meditating right now. It's just like I'll sit on my bench out there, and I'll just sit and I'll just pet the dog, or just letting yourself just chill and realize that you don't have to be going all the time. It's just like that. It's okay just to, as an artist, like tree has its seasons, that you can have your seasons throughout a day. You can just be going at something and then relax and chill, and go at something and relax and chill, and I think that's the big thing.
I was going to say, do you spend a lot of time alone? Do you think that's important?
Yeah, I do spend a lot of time alone, but I also miss like leaving. Like I tell my wife all the time, I feel like sometimes I'm here and I got to get out of the house. Sure. Otherwise I get a little cranky with her or the kids, or something happens where I realize, talking to the other day about it, go, you know what? we work together every day. You know, it's just like we're together all the time. I'm always home, and sometimes I feel trapped, and everyone else, the kids are out, they're going with this, that, and I'm trapped sometimes where I feel I have to get out of the house and I have to interact with people. But because I am alone most of the time.
Yeah. Do you have any, I just want to switch gears a little bit. Do you have any moments that you can think of in the industry where you felt like you were a shit show, like you fucked up, or you were just part of something that was just awful other than the Cleveland show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're just perfect.
I know.
No. This is the struggle. This is the reality. I don't hold on to a lot of stuff, right? So I just don't retain a lot of information, and that's why academically I was always bad. And even in my drawing, where sometimes the struggle that I've had is, I've drawn that 1,000 times. Why can't I freaking draw it? You know, why isn't it there? And it's just
let
like,
it go.
And it's like, I feel like, so I struggle with art in that realm, but with things that have happened that may not have worked out, I just let them go. Otherwise I tried something else and I moved on. So it never became like this real, you know.
Well, and it sounds like your whole life is based on this idea that everything good or bad is taking you to a place that is ultimately going to be good.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, maybe you're not focused on those things, as some people think that the sky is falling all the time, right?
Right, yeah.
You don't seem like that kind of guy.
No, right. And so, again, some people will stand out and complain about it's freaking raining. It's fucking raining. Goddamn raining all the time. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, you're just like, oh my God, the rain's great, man. Thank God I can turn off my sprinklers and I don't have the, you know, and all that, whatever. You know, you get these two different, the mindset. And I think so for me, there's nothing that again, it just, whether my brain just like everything else sort of like eventually gets rid of it because I don't need that information anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's when I'm even studying or I'm learning something. It's just like, I'm fascinated right now. I'm taking in all this information. Is it going to stick with me? No, at that moment it will. But do I need it all the time? Can I tell you something that I watched a documentary 6 months ago? Yeah, you know.
I was just going to say, we actually have a listener question. Someone, I put it out on my Instagram that we're talking
camper of the week.
A camper of the week question.
Okay. Hello.
Roll call! And now it's time for the camper of the week.
They realize that your characters are probably all like children to you, but someone wanted to know if you were going to go on vacation with one of your characters, who would you pick and where would you go? If you had to pick, like, so say you're given like $8 million or something, and someone's like, take one of your characters and go somewhere on vacation, where would you pick and who? Which of your
one of the characters with a personality that you like, or okay,
whoa, that's crazy.
That's actually a really good question.
I know it wasn't mine.
Gosh,
it was
I know that
my
it's
friend's
not.
husband that is a big fan of yours.
Wow. Go on vacation with this person.
Or you could sit at home and pet the dog.
Right. I don't know. Like, I think it would be cool. Like, you get a character like Drac and say, like, from Kim Possible, right? Like, you know, he's going to be doing evil stuff, but he never really gets himself in that much trouble where it's everything's ruined. So maybe I could tag along with him and just see what he comes up with.
That's a great answer. I love that.
So your life has now turned to teaching more than anything.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is such a great thing to be giving back, right? And I know that you ran a studio for a while and actual classes.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going with teaching from here on out?
Well, I think what I really want to do is, I just know I'm here, and what I want to do is just impact more people in a way. And how can I do it that it's not just artists? So part of me goes trying to move away from just artists and go, you know, like, I can help other people in other professions too, and give insight on creativity or innovation. And I just want to speak more. Yeah. But then part of me goes, but what's stopping that from really happening to the level that, this is where that question comes in. How do you know when to keep going or not? Yeah. This is where I'm starting to go, because this is what I thought that I wanted, and I write it everywhere. And I feel like this is my next mount. This is my next part of my journey. But then I feel like, but it's not just happening like everything else. Other things have sort of happened. So where am I supposed to go? So now I'm just trying to navigate and follow where my body's kind of taking me, and it is the teaching, but I'm feeling like it's more it is to artists, really sticking with my tribe, because that's why I'm here. That's why I was given. Then I start going, oh my God, that's why I was given the sketchbook. And this this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Don't mess it up. Totally.
Oh my God. And so now I'm just feel like I got to follow that. I'm here for artists. I was made not the best artist or most unbelievable multimillionaire sort of artist, given all this sort of stuff, because that's not what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be this guy who was given art and put in these spots and given these opportunities to work at the studio and get in so easily and work on this show that became a hit. And why did that happen? Why did it happen? Because, Stephen, you're supposed to keep teaching people, and you're supposed to share with other people. Just keep working, whatever it is that final message is, whatever the message is, that's what I'm supposed to do. So that's where, like, just even this has been happening in the last few weeks to me. I'm going through it right now. I'm just like, but all of a sudden, because of that, so I lost this passion for even drawing probably for 2 months. This is prior, where it's just recently where I was just like, I'm just not really into it anymore. I just know this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I went to this phase of thinking, okay, I'm supposed to be going to real estate, associations, and and speaking to these people.
We need to stop you now. Yeah.
And speaking to doctors, speaking, all these different fields. And then I realized, no, that's not supposed to happen necessarily. Why is that not happening? And then I've had this newfound love for drawing again. And now I'm creating all these videos, and I got all these new book ideas, and I'm creating. So all of a sudden, all this other inspiration has come and go, aha. That's what's going on. That's what's made this is becoming easy again now. Yeah.
And it seems like, from my friend that works at Proco, it seems like the online game in some way, what we like to connect in person, but also being able to take a master class from someone like yourself, like, really does open up so much, because now you can work with people all around the world. Right. You can have like high school students, people in their 60s. Like, I can imagine that's a really cool way to kind of expand your own teaching.
One thing I think is so funny is, I'm sure you've met lots of famous people throughout working. You worked with Kevin Smith, which a lot of people would say, oh, he's famous, And I'm sure you've met a lot of people. But when I'm in a room with you and a lot of other artists, there is this air about, not from you, but from them to you, that you're like an untouchable. Right? Yeah. It's kind of crazy because of what you've done. There are a lot of people that think like, oh, I could never talk to Steve.
Yeah, so uncomfortable.
Oh my goch, but he's so nice.
But what I love is, like, Silver, you don't act that way. Yeah, no. That's their misconception or preconceived idea of you. You actually go out of your way to talk to everybody, which I think is so rad, because there are other people that I've been in rooms with similar to that, where you're like, that guy acts like he's an untouchable. Right. And that's too bad, because he's really talented. Right. He doesn't need to act that way. Yeah.
And they probably know how people feel nervous when they come up to you. And if you're unassuming and you're like, no, welcome, then it gives people, it's so much nicer than someone like making it weird when you come up to them.
For sure. And I got that, what really helped me, like, one of my heroes is Mort Drucker, from this artist from Mad Magazine. And that's how I really learned how to do caricature. And when I first met him, this was probably back in like year 2000 or something. And I met him, and I was so nervous to go talk to him. He was there in the bar talking to someone else, and I was just sitting there staring at him like, oh my God, that's the guy. That's the guy. That's Mort Drucker. Oh my God, Mort Drucker. And I was just so nervous. But then eventually I got the cojones to go up and say, hi, Mr. Drucker. My name's Steven Silver, blah, blah, blah. And he was so welcoming and generous and so humble. And then I just started a great relationship with him, and I knew that in my mind that's the right way to do it. And I think that's what I have always done with other people, is because I always, when I do see those certain things, I project myself with me and Mort Drucker again. Like, that's, I'm that person's Mort Drucker. Yeah. And right now they're afraid to come near me and say anything, but the reality is they don't have to be. And if they do, I'm going to talk to them, but I got to maybe approach them. I'm going to take initiative and not, and go meet them, just to try to let them be a little bit more comfortable.
That goes a long way.
So what I'm hearing is that you think you're just like Mort.
Is Mort still alive?
Yeah, he is.
Wow.
Yeah,
and so wait, he was the creator of Mad, or not creator?
No, he was like, a lot of all this artwork that you see is all his. This is
I mean, if
okay, so
if you picked if you picked up a Mad magazine, especially in the 80s and 90s, like it was
everyone knows. Mort Drucker.
Mort Drucker is a beast.
Yeah. He's the guy.
Is there anybody other than him that you can imagine, like that you haven't met, that you're like, this would be the ultimate get to sit down and have a conversation over a coffee with?
Like, for me, just as a Beatles fan, but I would love to sit and talk with Paul McCartney, but not about the Beatles. I want to talk to him about his art, because he's an artist and he's a painter. And I'd like to talk to him about that and not talk about what, most people probably talk to him about.
And not fanboy it.
Yeah, not fanboy it.
And I would say that you saying that you're a Beatles fan is like a gross understatement, because you have so much Beatles shit.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
you're
You
British.
draw the
Yeah.
Beatles.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of who you are.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, no, I guess, and what I fell in love with them about, because when I first watched, I fell in love with them when they put out that anthology on TV that came out many years ago. This was like 25 years ago, something else. But that's when I saw them for these young guys with desires and dreams to become musicians, and all the stuff they went through, and it just sucked me in, to them and who they are as people. And then you hear the music, and then you hear, and then that's what sort of like drew me to them.
Awesome.
Yeah, but artists, like I have my dead artists, like, Norman Rockwell would have been such a great guy to just hang out with and just...
Do you think he was nice? Do you think he was just like cool? Like,
yeah, he was a bit of a party goer, but he was a shitty dad. So
yeah. That usually goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
yes, you are a shitty dad.
I would be a shitty dad. That's so funny you should say that. I just saw a Norman Rockwell painting that of a little beagle and a kid, and I almost started crying because it was so sweet. Right at the coffee place near you.
Right. Oh yeah.
Do you get back to London a lot, or
no, not that often. No, most of all my relatives are dead now, so we don't. I got like a couple aunts and uncles left, but meanwhile, just my main aunt that we'll go see, and we'll see her maybe once every 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. Barely ever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
please.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I just thank you so much for letting us inside your house and mine and everything. This is insanely awesome and inspiring.
Yeah, we'll take some pictures and show you guys.
Are we allowed to? Or
yeah, okay.
Sure.
But his studio is just filled with like amazing, famous artwork from himself and like other people who are just like unbelievably talented. So. Hey, it was a real joy talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing all your stories.
Yeah, this was cool.
Yeah.
Thanks
Where are the online places that people can find you and connect with you?
Like the best place is through silvertunes.com. That's where I just have a lot of links there through there. And then I also have a YouTube channel that I do, which is called Art Talk with Silver. And that's every Monday. So there's about 260 shows now. And I just get in front of every Monday. I post a new video and just talk about just life or experience or something that I've gone through. So they're only about 18 minutes, 20 minutes long.
It's super uplifting. You're very positive, and I think just to tune in and watch some of those are just inspiring.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
If people want to buy your book, I know it's available on. Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon.
Would you rather they go to your site?
If you want it signed, you can get stuff on my site. Prints and books like that. But otherwise, you can get the books on Amazon.
Okay, cool. And if you see him out in Expo, go say hi and tell him that you're a shit show.
Yeah.
Then that's like code for like all of our people.
I like it.
You'll forget in like 6 months, and you're like, good for you. Awesome.
Just like, you're a shit show. What the fuck?
Also, in signing off, you have the cutest dog I've ever seen in my whole life, and I love your dog so much.
Thank you.
Peace out to the dog.
Take a picture of the dog, too.
Oh my gosh, honestly, we will. Bo's gonna have to do like a photo shoot with me after.
Thanks for being with us,
All right,
Silver.
thanks,
we'll
man.
see you again.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Tell me you didn't love Steven.
Wow.
Tell me.
I feel like I learned a lot. A character designer. Is that what they're called again? Character designer.
You learned a lot, yeah.
Honestly, no, that I never knew that there was even one of those in animation. And
you don't think about these jobs until you realize, like, oh yeah, somebody has to do that.
Yeah, like who comes up with that actual character?
I think a lot of people just assume that person is the creator of the show.
Yes.
But a lot of times those are people that are just writers or artists, but they're not designers in that way.
I am very glad that I met him in this version of his lifetime.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he wasn't reinvented
as
like an algae plant while I'm on this planet, because I love him. I think he has a great attitude, and I feel like I would love him to coach, even if like you're not an animation person. I feel like he has a lot to say just about creativity and business and like
you gotta check out his site that he put up there. His teachings and his positivity towards all of that, amazing.
Yeah, very inspiring.
One thing that never came up that I was kind of surprised is that he's Jewish.
What? I didn't know it.
His last name's Silver.
Silverberg? Just Silver?
Silver.
Wow, I did not know that. My Hebe.
Yeah, and I was like, you didn't even bring up bagels or matzo ball soup.
We'll need a whole separate episode just for that. One thing that also came up off of the podcast is that he has what I think to be one of the cutest dogs I've ever seen, and Bo felt very uncomfortable because I offered my dog sitting services.
That's true.
And I'm going to follow through with that.
Well, just so you know, when you left,
don't ruin me. Don't ruin my chances.
Just so you know, when you left, he was like, oh, that's really great. We're definitely going to use her.
Oh my God, Bo, you have good news. Because I could totally see you being like, she'll boil your dog. You don't want her to do that. Don't cut me off at my feet.
You'll make sure the dog is okay, but the house will burn down. Yeah. No, but we really appreciate Steven coming on
great
here
episode.
And doing the show with us.
Thank
you.
else?
What else you got? Anything?
Not much else. After this, I'm thinking I just want to take a slow drive home. Right off of a cliff. No.
Okay. All right. We love you guys out there. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
This episode of Campfire Shit Show was produced by Bo Hufford and Meryl Climo. It was edited by Bo Hufford, and the theme song was composed and sang by your friendly camp director, me, PB&J. If you've got a question or you want to be the next camper of the week, email us at campfireshitshow@gmail.com. Say hi to Bo and Meryl on Instagram at Campfire Shit Show, and please don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes. Well, kids, it's time to pack up the camp and put out the fire. But don't you worry, we'll see you soon on another episode of the Campfire Shit Show. Good night, kids. Sleep tight.
To learn more about my Skype mentorships and workshops, please visit silvertunes.com, and if you like, sign up for my mailing list where you'll be notified of any upcoming workshops or events. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.